What?
Is a smile a friendly gesture?
Yes.
You know it
in our culture, yes.
You know it as a smile.
Yes.
But I'm gonna consider it a display of teeth.
Okay.
It's a display of teeth. A smile.
Okay, but just so we don't leave them in the dark too long.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk, hey, look. So just don't. I don't want to leave them in the dark too long. I'm gonna ask you a question about the smile, but we basically talking about slavery in Egypt and slavery in Africa. Was there any type of slavery in Africa and in Egypt? I say yes. This brother, he seemed like he's saying yes, but he to me it sounds like he's trying to make excuses for slavery. So just gonna see how this play out. So yeah, I think a smile is a nice thing, in our culture.
Okay. Smile a nice thing in our culture. Now, if you have two evils, one believe he more evil than the other one, the other one believe he more evil, they getting ready to go to a duel. Will they smile at each other? It's some type of it's some type of display as, hey, I'm not worried about you. Like I'm not.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be easily exploited and taken out of context.
Yeah.
So it can a friendly gesture can easily mean
they can use it for something else.
Hey, I got these teeth. I'm not scared of you. I'll eat you. Not saying that's what they.
Yeah, you could have more than one meaning behind a smile. I agree.
Yeah, so you have more than one meaning behind any type of scenario, any type of situation, huh?
Like what? Like what? Like slavery?
Like slavery. I just say they can have multiple interpretations, correct? Anything can have multiple interpretations.
You saying there are multiple interpretations of slavery?
I'm saying, could it be multiple aspects? I mean, could it be multiple?
Can you treat one slave different than you treat another slave? Yes, you can treat slaves different, but the only thing that I'm saying, and I'll keep going back to this, is just historically speaking, I don't think that anybody can deny that there was some form of slavery going on the African continent and in Egypt. Now, I'm not saying it was right or wrong, good or bad, or, indifferent. Before we talk about that, before we philosophize about it, and before we can compare it to other acts of slavery throughout human history, if we just look at it for what it is, I don't think that anybody can deny that it actually happened. And then, but you can come and say that if there were people that owned other people in Egypt and on the African continent, then it wasn't like something else, and you force us to compare it to something else without just looking at it and letting it stand alone, then I say that the treatment of the individual really isn't the basis on whether or not it could be considered slavery, because you could treat a slave very, very well, you could treat a slave very, very bad. It's just, are people owning other people? Does somebody own someone else? Does somebody have ownership? Is somebody property? Does somebody belong to somebody else? And even if you say prisoners of war, if I was to enroll in the United States Army and I participate in the war in Iraq, and then when I come back home, I bring 2 to 3 Iraqis with me to live on my property and do things for me. That's pretty much slavery, whether I feed them good or not.
All right. Does a mother own her child?
As far as to a degree, yeah.
And more of a higher degree in the earlier stages, right or wrong?
A high, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's responsible for the child.
If the child,
but she don't own the child more than the father. It's their responsibility.
Hypothetically speaking, that's a weak argument because you mixing stuff. You talking about a child that's been identified as the father. I'm talking about a child that come in the earlier stages. The mother is known. The father is a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to primates, we have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so a woman owns this child.
Mm-hmm.
The child should do what the mother says do.
Mm-hmm.
If the child don't do what the mom say do,
Mm-hmm.
the mother do what she want to do with the child.
Yes.
If the mother tell the child that you're gonna go stay over here, you're gonna do this, that, and the third, you're gonna live with them because you're not acting right and following my rules.
Yes.
She can go stay with them.
Yes.
Is that child considered a slave of the mother?
No.
Okay, if the mother took the child to another location that treated the child as a slave, is the mother responsible for that enslavement?
The mother is not enslaving the child.
But I'm saying the mother sent the child somewhere.
To be enslaved?
She didn't, that's not a...
Did the child end up being enslaved or the mother's son?
No, I said the place where she's dropped them off at treated the child as a slave.
Mm-hmm.
Is the mother partly responsible for that?
Yeah, she handed him over to the slave, to enslavement.
But the mother never enslaved the child.
That's not because, okay, dig this. I'm glad you bring that up. If you go out and you randomly pick somebody up off of the streets, and you, by physical force, subject this person to the status of your child, that is a problem. Now, if you subject your child to the status of your child, that is not a problem, because for one, nature dictates that with human beings, we have to be hands-on taking care of our children. They're our property, they're our responsibility. Without our care, love, support, feeding them, clothing them, without us taking care of them, then we we would not be able to survive as a people, right? We would not be able to survive as a people. We would die. We would all die, right? So,
okay, yeah. I was kind of
yeah. All right. So what I'm saying is, nature dictates that a parent, a mother, takes care of the child, or the child is going to die. So that's a natural possession, ownership. That comes with birth. If it wasn't for that, our species would die off. Okay? Now, if you go out, again, if I go out and I take someone else, a random person, off the streets from another nation or from my own nation, and I take them and I subject them to the living conditions of my child, yeah, that's a problem. It's not okay because I treat my child a certain way that I can just go get some random person off the streets and subject them to the same living conditions as my child, to where what I say goes. Under my roof, I make the rules. No, that's a problem.
No, I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that the purpose is a difference in purpose. Okay, the mother did this for one purpose. The one that enslaved them done it for another purpose. These two purposes are not equal in no form or fashion. Period. Now, it can come to a point where they can be equivalent in the sense. If the mother come into some type of knowledge of what's going on and she allowed the child to stay in those circumstances, then it comes a point it's on a wave.
But you were talking about a mother.
Hypothetically speaking.
But you were talking about a mother following her motherly instincts to do that which is in the best interest of the child, and with the best interest of the child in mind, refusing to allow that child to do certain things, with an individual taking another human being that was living their own life, doing their own thing, have their own issues going on, and bringing them into the equation.
We didn't say nothing about their issues going on over there.
They have a life. I'm saying just issues, just regular stuff. No, I'm saying we talking about it.
Yeah, hypothetically speaking, we
talking about a slave. So that slave is a person.
No, you talking, but you going in on my scenario.
Yeah, because you're
offering nothing like that. We just said the mom took the child over here because she couldn't do nothing with the child. I'm just established. Okay, at the same token, I could say these people use the mother's. Natural instinct to love and do yada 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 for a child, and they use that to do what they took to satisfy.
Do y'all hear what he is saying?
It's a hypothetical situation.
Man,
you can't jump in my hypothetical situation and start changing stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna break this down for y'all because I want to make sure that y'all do not miss this.
This don't intimately relate. Now he relating this to.
Just let me finish, please. I do not want you guys to miss this, so I'm going to explain what he's over here saying in case y'all missed it. All right, we're talking about this aspect of slavery. We all agree to that, right? No, listen, we all agree to that. I mentioned that at the beginning. More specifically, slavery in Egypt, and in a roundabout way, slavery on the African continent as a whole. I was in the position of, yes, they had slavery, historical record. Let's deal with it and move on. This brother, for some kind of reason, was trying to tap dance around the type of slavery that it was. Was it good slavery? Hold on. Was it good slavery, bad slavery? I don't know. So now, in order for this brother to convince y'all to listen to him explain how there is some form of good slavery, he tell you about a mother and a child, and is the child a slave to the mother because the mother has ownership of that child, responsibility. The mother can tell the child what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and where to do it.
That's property.
This slavery. So this brother.
Can we call it slavery?
So this brother's.
Can we call it slavery?
Can you just let me finish?
Go ahead.
So this brother is attempting to install the virtues of slavery by using the analogy of a mother and a child. Listen. It is wrong for someone to try and take another person, another human being from somewhere outside of their scope of reality and bring them into their household and subject them to live like their child. This can't be your best argument, bro. The mother and the child.
It's not even. I'm establishing. I'm just trying to get a clear understanding how you look at how you gonna perceive things. If you gonna perceive them, and if you gonna perceive them in a way that they supposed to be perceived as, because when you start using these words, it's the same thing. You talking about ownership. You talking about property. You talking about following rules. You talking about doing what I say do. It's equivalent. Whether you want to call it slavery, you want to call it raising, you raising a child, this, that, and the third, they equivalent. You own it, you're responsible for it,
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just hypothetically saying,
mm-hmm.
if she get to the point where this child needs some type of long hand of the law, I can't give it to him, I send him off to this scenario to do what I think they's gonna do to them, and they end up doing something else. Am I responsible? I want to know. Okay, I'm not standing on no side of the. I'm not standing on no side of the table.
If you gave your child to someone and you expected them to do one thing and they did something else, no, you're not responsible. You didn't know they were going to do that. How could you be responsible?
Okay, so if the child come back changed,
yeah,
the child come back changed. He got over there. He don't never want to go back.
if that other place, if they enslave the child at that other place, then that's on that other place. That's not on the parent.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, what if the child come back a changed person?
What do you mean? What if?
What if the child come back and follow all the rules for mama?
And follow the rule. I mean,
yeah, she don't have no problems with him though. But like, I don't got it like 5 years past or something. I mean, he don't never want to go back over there.
Don't send them back. I mean, what you?
Yeah, but I'm saying, is it right if whether it was slavery, whether he put subjected this child to some harsh?
Was what they did right or wrong? Is that what you're saying?
You said you wasn't going in to right or wrong.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that what you basically trying to add?
They brought forth the change that she was looking for. She don't know. All she know is a change. All she know is when I say stop, he stopped now. When you say listen, he listen now. If I threaten to send him back over there again, he don't want to go. He's like, Mama, what you want me to do?
Yeah. See, all right. Okay, I see what you're saying. And then you're right. I do. I don't want to go too philosophical down to was that right or wrong. Because no, we're going to have to get specific about what happened to him. What did she... Because, okay, for one, you already said she wanted them to do one thing and they did something else. So technically in that scenario, it has to be wrong on that level alone because she expected one thing and then something else happened. So she got deceived in the mix. She didn't get what she was trying to get ultimately because you said they did something else. But I don't want to get too deep into the make believe scenario.
That's right or wrong. You going in right or wrong.
But I don't want to. But I don't want to get.
Then you trying to establish the fact that.
But I don't want to get. I don't want to get too deep into that. Though.
No, but I'm saying the child came back. We was at another point. The child came back changed. So even though they did something outside of the context of what she wanted them to do, they inevitably fulfilled what she was trying to fulfill. She just don't know how they done it. Because the child came back.
Okay.
So whether it's right or wrong over there, you know what I'm saying? That's
I mean, but yeah, with a scenario, man, you can create the scenario to go exactly however you want it to go. So I don't really get it. Nah, for real. I mean, I don't get where we going.
Yeah.
You just saying what.
I'm illustrating the fact you had different purposes, different circumstances. The mama gave the child
to say that it's some okay slavery.
All right, no. When the mama when the mama get a child,
okay, I just
let you go for a minute.
Can I go?
All right, let me ask one question.
No, let me get a turn. I need a turn. Nah, I just been letting you go. You just went.
Just one simple question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, if the mama hand the child over to this over here, we just go to this person. Do the mama have any rights in saying what she want this person to do? You already said the mama owned the child.
Now that she gave up her rights, they can do that. So in answering that question, I'm gonna say if the mother gave up her rights, man, and gave the child away, then that's one thing. Now if it was like, you know, you dropped the kid off at daycare, you know, and something like that happened, it's totally different. But what I'm gonna say now is I'm not gonna go too far into this scenario. But I just want to be clear about one more thing, man. So now it sounds like my brother is actually saying that if you get a good result from the slavery, the slavery might have been okay.
All right,
bro. I didn't cut you off, bro.
Go ahead.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So now he tells us that the hypothetical mother drops the kid off at the hypothetical location. They enslave the child at the hypothetical location, and when they return the child to the mother, the child is well behaved and basically does everything that the child is supposed to do. So was it okay? Now he's asking, was it okay if that they enslaved the child at the location if when the child was returned to the mother, the child had corrected his behavioral problems? This is the question that I was hit with. So first I'm gonna say no, it's not okay for them to enslave this child and do mistreat this child, do anything. You could probably make somebody do something good by putting a gun in their head, but that don't necessarily mean that it was okay to put that gun in their head. Now, what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna go back to this hypothetical scenarios aside, it was definitely slavery. Okay, it was definitely slavery. And I made a video about it, and this one of the quickest ones I always go to reference it, the tomb inscriptions of Amos, son of Abana. Okay, people always argue that they're talking about prisoners of war because he was a soldier. You know, he went to war, and after a lot of battles, he was given captives as slaves or prisoners of war, whatever you want to call it. So you can say what you want to say about what he did with these people, the fact that he owned them, and got them. So if you have a tomb inscription, right, of Amos, son of Abana, all right, autobiography, he's saying that he was in the army for 3 different pharaohs, one of them being the famous Amos who kicked out the Hyksos, right? He fought against the Hyksos, this guy, Amos, son of Abana. Right? And he tells time after time after time after time of winning battles, and at the end of the battles being rewarded with captives as slaves. Right? So if you have this first-hand account of this guy admitting that he owned slaves, basically, how can you deny the fact that it was slaves in Egypt?
In a kingdom, it's not everything in that territory ownership of the king. That's what we're looking at the In the
No,
kingdom.
I'm letting you go in.
No, I'm asking you a question. In the kingdom is everything inside of the kingdom the property of the king.
It's possible.
Regardless of
it's
his people,
possible.
everything in that territory is the property of the king.
It's possible. It's possible that could be how they roll.
Is that considered slavery?
What?
You said property. He owned them. They follow the rules of the.
Okay, those people inside of that kingdom, if it's like a dictator, or you got one of them crazy rulers, anybody in there has the potential to be made into a slave at any given moment if their ruler deemed it necessary. But they are not in their individual moments and individual lives slaves. Not that they're out there just living, but they have the potential to be turned into one because they can't resist the damn king in that type of society.
But
if your
premise was
wait, you asked me a question, but you don't want me to. Oh, it's your turn. Go ahead.
If your premise is that a slave is property, that's the property of the king. So they slaves, regardless if he take it out of context, if he have them do something outside of what you deem enslaved or slave, or however you want to hypothetically put it. I'm saying it can be a perfect scenario where there's nothing wrong with it. He feeding the people, he's doing everything he's supposed to do. It could be the same scenario in a perfectly good system.
You missing what I'm saying. You jumping over something. I'm saying that they have the potential to be made into a slave by said king.
Yeah, I'm kind of missing that because they already slaves.
I wouldn't say that.
So it's a difference.
I wouldn't say that.
So a slave is not property.
I mean, if someone owns another person, they are slave. Now, if the definition of slavery is if someone owns someone else,
that's slavery then.
Yeah. The definition that's slavery.
But you said they had the potential to become slaves.
Yes.
But they already slaves because they already own.
All right, bro. All right. Again, every form of government is not the same.
All right.
Okay? Every form of government is not the same. And when you have certain forms of government, people are governed by the rules, the statutes, the laws, and the things like that are going on. They are not subject every single day to actually get up and take the king don't walk by everybody's house and individually tell everybody what to go do and go do this and go do that and go do this and go do that. They have freeness of thought, freeness of expression. To find a job, to learn a trade, to try to go to school, try to learn how to write, to be a scribe. It's not forcibly dictated upon you, but being inside of this kingdom as well as this government, if this is the highest authority, he has the ability at any moment to impose his will on you. But if his will isn't being imposed on you, then that's something totally different. And again, it's odd to try to go to a broad ass abstract idea again when we already have a clear-cut example. I just gave you the tomb inscription. Why do we deal with the actual tomb inscription than a hypothetical pharaoh over his kingdom?
It's the king, right?
Yeah, the Nisu, the ruler.
So he owned the people.
I mean, if you want me to repeat what I just said, I will. I don't have no problem with it, but I'm gonna maintain what I just said.
Is America a great nation?
I don't see.
I just want to know. It's not a kingdom, but I'm just using this.
Man, that's all opinion based.
To you,
that's all opinion based.
Is it a great nation?
Okay, check this out. Thutmose the Third, right? Thutmose the Third. He was one of the most how can I put it?
Fierce?
Most effective generals and pharaohs when it comes to battles and expanding the empire of Kemet ever, right? He is even documented as actually leaving from the borders of Kemet, going out towards the Levant and up in that area, winning battles, subduing nations, and making them pay tribute. And in several of those places, he brought back people with him. Now, if my brother here wanna dispute any of this that I'm saying, y'all can always go look it up. I can pull it out right now, but I think the brother, he may be aware of some of this already, right? So I didn't think I was gonna have to go to this, but I'll bring out a second source other than the Amos son of Abana. Now we're talking about Thutmose III, documenting that he went out of the borders of Egypt to some other lands, subdued people, stretched the borders of Egypt, fought, kicked some tail, and even brought some people back as tribute to Egypt. Brought back captives. You feel me? Went to other lands and brought people back.
Sometimes some people you can't let go. So I'm just saying, I'm not a soldier in the war, but I'm saying that some people, they got the potential to come back. and for the sake of revenge, some people you can't let go.
What you mean?
You gotta hold them captive, man. I'm not saying every person that's held captive is supposed to be held captive, but I'm saying as far as a revolutionary force or whatnot, there's some people who have that same revolutionary nature. You can't let them go. You have to. Only way you can let them go is with nothing. And then some people you can't even let go with nothing, because they're gonna go and inquire something they'll rather you should have killed them.
So it was slavery.
Yeah, of course it was. You can't get of course you can't get around the fact that it was slavery. No way around it. It's based on the definition. Based on the definition of a slave, you can't get around. A slave is we can call a kingdom.
You can call a mother's child a slave. That's what you want to do.
I'm just saying that the definition of a slave is property. When you get down to the components of what a slave is.
Okay, so why wasn't you just agreeing with me from the jump? Why did we need to do this?
No, I want to establish the fact that just the word slavery on its own says nothing about the purpose, the purpose that's set forth. It's more the purpose. What then we go. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You want to go right or wrong, or you want to go to extreme, or not enough. However, you know what I'm saying? However you want to look at it, but I'm talking about the underlying purpose of what's going on.
Okay. I hear you. So I'm hearing that by purpose you mean the purpose of the enslavement, right?
Is everybody in jail a slave?
Okay, wait a minute. You mean the purpose of the enslavement?
Yeah.
Okay. So why would you put more weight or not more weight? Because I don't want to say it like that to look like I'm really just trying to disagree. No, I'm not at this point. No, I'm not. Right. But it seems like your definition or explanation or your view of slavery, what it is and its components and whatnot, is through the eyes of the enslaver. Like from what's their purpose behind why they doing it, as opposed to the enslaved, the person that's saying, look, if this has happened to me, I'm enslaved. Somebody else being like, but well, I'm only doing this for this, so I'm not enslaving. It's like, well, I can self-identify as, yeah, I pretty much feel like you got me enslaved right now, especially if you know.
All right, would you agree that there's some things that's worse than slavery? And slavery shouldn't even be enslavement, or slavery